Hello, everybody. I'm flying solo today. Kind of sad. I guess Brad's on an airplane. Hope you have a safe flight, Brad. Today, I have a guest joining me all the way from the West Coast, Mr. Ben Bacall. Say hi, Ben.
Hi there, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us. So I hear a little birdie told me you're going to be on a panel at Luxury Connect. What are you going to be discussing?
Oh wow, we're probably going to be talking about marketing strategies, do's and don'ts, and our trials and tribulations over the decades of experience that we've all acquired, and it's going to be really exciting. I have some amazing panelists, and it's going to be very captivating, and I'm super excited to hear everyone's ideas and little tricks and so forth. It's going to be great.
That'll be fun. I wish I could be there. Unfortunately, I have to kind of dial back a little bit on the traveling. So, all right. Well,
We'll
so
miss,
today
we'll
we're
miss,
gonna just what?
we'll miss you.
Yes. Well, I'll try to make it for the next one. But I'm assuming I'll see you in January at Inman Connect, correct? Right?
Yes, in New York.
Awesome. Can't wait. Bring your gloves.
I will.
So you're in California, right?
Correct. We're actually specifically in Los Angeles.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, you're gonna have to dress warm. It gets a little chilly in New York in January.
I'm from Toronto, Canada. I know.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm about an hour from Canada in Rochester. So,
Ah, beautiful.
yep.
Gorgeous there.
Yes, definitely. All right. So today we're going to discuss a couple of the top stories of the week. The first one that Brad wrote about it being, what is that? He kind of polled everybody in the Facebook group too about this. Is it illegal to discuss your commissions on social media? And as we all know, it's illegal to sit down and discuss your commissions with other brokers and do any type of price fixing. And I think where everything kind of stemmed from, according to the article, was apparently in the 70s, a group of brokers got together for a dinner. And at the end of the dinner, all of the brokers decided they were raising their commissions from 6% to 7%. So, of course, it went to federal court. They found them guilty. And so Brad kind of brings up this topic. Well, all of these agents are constantly posting in these Facebook groups about commissions, and a bunch of people are always just kind of jumping in and being like, you can't talk about this. It's totally bad. And basically, the way Brad sums it up is if there's nothing that comes from it, it doesn't become illegal. Now, if everybody in the Facebook group discusses it and everybody in that discussion changes their commissions based on that, then we have an issue. But just simply touching on it, discussing it, and bouncing ideas off each other is not necessarily illegal. So, Ben, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's okay to openly discuss, your commissions amongst each other. I think the court case, as I read it, it's simply that they conspired in a secret meeting to come to a conclusion that they're going to fix their commissions to a certain price, more than just one broker, coming together. And that was the issue. So like you said, I'm pretty much reiterating what you're saying, but if a bunch of brokers get together on Facebook and on a group message talk about, we all decided, let's all, conclude that we're going to go to this price for our commissions, then there's a big issue. However, I think that the problem lies that if there's a lot of ambiguity, right? So let's just say there is a lawsuit with one of those people that are on that hangout, right? Talking about it on that conversation, and they have a lawsuit a year down the line, right? Because they've done that, because they've actually crossed the line. That conversation could be used against them. And I think because of that reason, the brokers on that discussion board that have their arms up in the air saying, "Oh, you can't talk about that." In a way, they're kind of right, because that dialogue that happens there could be used against them in the future. And that's really the issue with social media in the first place. Like, everyone is so easy to talk about their lives and their personal lives or their business dealings. And there's a reason why we're brokers. We're intermediaries to have client confidentiality, and to keep our strategic business dealings to a minimum, right? So I think it could be. Yeah.
I guess, it's funny because this actually topic got brought up when I was at the National YPN Leadership Retreat in Chicago, and I was sitting with a couple of other agents and brokers, and somebody was kind of asking me for clarification on, is it illegal for a group of us people that are from all different parts of the country to sit here and discuss what you normally charge? And it kind of brought that question up in my head. And of course, there were a couple people from NAR there, and I was like, I don't know, go ask them. But it kind of makes me think twice about it. Now, let's just say me and you right now, Ben, we get on the show and we start discussing what our commission splits are. To me, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, I'm not saying it's right. You're on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. So if me and you decide collectively to up it from 6 to 7 or 7 to 8 or whatever the numbers are, it's not really, we're in different markets. So does that really make a difference then if you have people from all over the country? Are they, they're not technically monopolizing an area if they're from all over the world.
Yeah, but it's the RESPA laws. It's all over the United States. It's not just regional. So we're in collusion together, coast to coast, to fix our pricing, and that could be misconstrued as or not, or could be specifically called out as a no-no. So I would be weary of doing that.
Where do you draw the line with that? If you can't discuss what you're charging clients for commission, can you discuss what you're giving to your agents as far as commission splits? Because as far as I know, there's no law on sitting down with another broker, whether they're in your area or in another area, and saying, okay, well, I'm going to put my agents on a 50-50 split, or I'm going to put my agents on a 90-10 split. So it's kind of like a blurred line almost, or it's okay to...
I think it's okay to have open discussions about it and say, oh, this is what I'm thinking of doing. But then when you go, okay, I'm going to do this if you do this. Okay, let's both do it. If we both do it, then let's move forward. Because then you're making an agreement to do a certain thing. You and I are just just discussing and saying, oh, my commission's gonna be 80-20 with my brokers, and oh no, mine's 75. That's okay. But if he's like, again, he says like, okay, let's both agree to 80-20. You agree to 80-20. Let's not deviate from that plan. And let's go for it. And then let's 100% charge our sellers a 6% commission or 7% commission. And let's not deviate from the plan unless the broker comes to us specifically with a request to reduce their commission, and then we'll approve it. Then you have a problem. But I think openly discussing it is okay, as long as you're not like coming to like, if you do this, I will do this, Yeah. And then, obviously keeping this to a dialogue on the phone is better than,
yeah. So I think a good piece of advice for any agents that are out there watching is if you're not sure if you should talk about it, don't talk about it. All right. So yeah, let's move on to the next article, which I thought was extremely interesting. Where should agents draw the line with listing clients, AKA sellers? And I'm reading through this and my jaw is like dropped to the ground. So I guess Inman pulled a bunch of its readers and was kind of wondering, what do you provide as a listing agent to your clients? And, repair advice, decorating advice, staging advice. And I do all of that stuff. I think any good agent or realtor does. But then I started to see some of the, answers towards the bottom of the poll, and I'm seeing pet care, picking up clients' cars from the mechanics if they're out of town. And I'm thinking, are you really doing that? Ben, what are your thoughts on that?
Wow, I've never heard it to that extent, but that's crazy. It's interesting. I was with one of a new agent that works for me, and she was talking in the background, and it was almost like she was like their psychologist, and she was getting so granular and holding their hand as if it was like a really amazing interpersonal relationship. And at one side of it, I was like, wow, that's really terrific. They're so close to each other. And the other side of it is that sometimes you need to kind of separate the lines between business and personal. And when that meshes too much, they become dependent on you. And maybe a seller can look to you to do things that you would not normally do. And it really takes your time away from the bottom line, which is to make them a ton of money and make them as much money as possible. So I think, to offer those kind of services, it detracts from the goal, which is to make that seller as much money as possible and to make sure all the paperwork is, done perfectly, and you're meeting all your guidelines and contingencies and the laws of the city, of the state, and the Fed. And I just think offering all those,
You're not a babysitter, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, this business is obviously all about word of mouth. And if you do that for one person and the client is like, oh, thank you so much, I had to go to work and, you came over and you walked the dog for me. And it wasn't because the house was being shown, but just because you decided just to walk their dog.
I mean, there's other ways to do it, like offering like these apps. Be like, here's a great her laundry app. Here's this app I can offer you. I'll pay for that app. How about that? Like things like that. Stuff that they personally have to do, that's kind of absurd. And that takes away their time from making a ton of money. Giving staging advice, I do that all the time, and then, I mean, as far as marketing and what I'm going to do, I think that's also, you got to be careful, because you need to say proposed marketing. I had an agent once send an email to a client saying, oh, this is all the marketing that I do, right? And it's for like a $20 million house that I do. And I'll spend like $30,000 on marketing that house for like, a quarter. And then this is a $1 million condo. So when I got there and he's like, well, where are all my display ads and where are all my placement ads for thousands of dollars? And I'm like, well, it's proposed marketing. He's like, well, that's not what your agent told me, who works for me. So I need to teach my agent to be very mindful of what they put in writing, because you need to write proposed marketing or make some kind of disclaimer, because that would have been our entire commission, right?
Yeah, exactly. And blowing my mind over here with your $20 million listings. I'm at an average price point of about 125, 150. So I'm like, ooh,
That's a lot of units, but we still over here, we still do deals from 5 to a couple million. I actually just listed a house for 250 million.
Wow.
And actually, that comes with full concierge and everything.
Ooh, fancy. See, I need to come out to LA. First of all, I've never been there, but when I come out, I want to see one of these multi-million dollar listings. Because
Brad was invited, but he had to dart back for Inman Connect.
Yeah, it's tough too. When I was in San Diego and for NAR, and then obviously in San Fran, it's not like California is a small state by any means where I can just like hop in a car and drive to LA. So, but I'll have to make it out there someday.
Soon.
Totally. All right, moving on to the next article. 6 things homebuyers should never say. There's a couple in here. Basically, what they're talking about is when you're showing a house to your buyer and the listing agent is there to let you in. I don't know if you're supposed to tell your buyer not to say these things. I feel like we have so many things we're already telling our buyers and teaching our buyers. Are you supposed to walk into a showing and say, okay, don't say this, this, and this? But a couple of things that were mentioned were, I love it, it's perfect, that decor, that furniture, that paint color is hideous, home is overpriced, why is the seller moving, what are the neighbors like, will the seller take X amount of dollars? And as I'm reading through this, obviously their point is you don't want, as a buyer, to give away your negotiating power, even if it's to the listing agent. But one that kind of struck me was, well, 2 of them actually, the decor, the furniture, the paint color is hideous, and the home being overpriced. To me, as a listing agent, I want that feedback, and I'm going to relay it to my seller, because if we have a bright orange kitchen and everybody hates it, they should probably paint it. If the house is overpriced, that's a good segue for me to say to a seller, this buyer thinks your house is overpriced, and I do too. Let's get it lowered. So what are your thoughts on some of those?
I definitely agree with your points. I agree that good feedback, negative or positive, is terrific to go back to the seller, especially with trying to get a price reduction and to reduce the price of the house when it's clearly overpriced, which happens way too often. But I think, I used to say to my clients, oh, let's not act too excited. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's if you let your buyers be who they are and act who they are. And I say that because the listing agent will report to a seller and be like, we have a real tangible buyer here who's genuinely excited about your property. Let's take this buyer seriously and not mess with them. So what that does is when they get into negotiations, that seller, and hopefully that seller's agent listing agent is going to say, we need to really treat this offer with kid gloves and make sure we're responding appropriately. You know, if they put in a real offer, let's not just counter back at asking price. Let's make sure we can really negotiate a deal, because this guy is serious. He came in the house. He's really serious. He was really meticulous, and he opened up every single door, and he said how much he loved your house. He gave you so many warm compliments, and then that makes the seller actually warm and fuzzy. Be like, oh, you know, this guy's nice. He loves my property, and maybe I want to give him a better deal. But I think when you're like, you know, too quiet and you could come off as like rude and uninterested. I think at the end of the day, it's just when you get to negotiation, it's at the end of the day, it's all about like what money you're going to get. Just because you did jumping jacks inside the house and you love the house doesn't mean they're going to overpay for the house. They're going to make an offer and you're going to negotiate, right? They're not going to be like, oh, but you know, I mean, if you go in and the wife is like crying on the ground, oh my God, I gotta have this house. Yeah, then you're pretty screwed. But when does that ever happen? So I don't think there's any specific do's and don'ts. It's in the house. I think just don't be rude.
Yeah, exactly. No, and you know, I've actually seen it where I'm showing a buyer a house and they're super excited about it, and the listing agent's there, and sometimes that can be helpful because the listing agent, like you said, going to go back to the seller and say, hey, we have this buyer that loves your house. The kids love the house.
Yeah,
and maybe they come in with like a lower offer, and the seller is willing to go a little bit lower on the price because they feel like someone's going to love their house and take care of it and appreciate the way that they did. Sellers are very emotional, and not, you know, obviously they need their bottom line to pay off the mortgage or whatever the case is, but a seller is more likely to sell their house to somebody that is going to love it and take care of it, raise a family in it, or whatever they want, or whatever they see for that vision of when they move out and give it to the next person. Yeah. Sometimes that stuff can help. So,
yeah. I mean, things that you don't want to say, I'm thinking about it. You're like, I've been looking for 5 months, and or out loud, be like, we just sold our house. We're like in the streets, we're in hotels, and this is the only house that I've liked in the last 6 months. Okay, that's probably bad, because then you've lost your negotiating. You're like, okay, they're gonna clearly they're gonna pay for this, you know. So you can say how much you like it, but don't tell them about like your living situation, your 1031 exchange that you must put in 45 days, you know, those kind of things. But you know, you be less, you know. And then talking about price directly with the broker, yeah, you can ask them in point blank and get a reaction and see what they say. I think they won't get the best answer, and it'll be a bit defeating, because the listing agent's job is to get the most money possible. So, you know, that is probably a no-no, because, you know, they'll walk out of it like, oh, let's not make an offer. There's no point. The listing agent just said we have to, you know, they're only going to come down, you know, 2% from asking price. So there's no point. So that can be that can backfire, actually, if you start.
Yeah, I think that's a conversation to be had between agents. If your buyer, you know, I've had that situation where my buyer's adamant. They're like, please just call the other agent, see if you can get any more information. And, you know, as an agent, I'm not hesitant to pick up a phone and say, hey, is this list price firm? You know, and obviously with text searches and all the things we can do now, I can look up and see for myself what the people owe on the house. But I find that a lot of listing agents are eager to tell me like, oh no, they'll come down on the price, or nope, that's their bottom line. This is what they need to break even. So I think if as a buyer, if you want to have that conversation, that's something that your agent needs to have for you when you're not there, when the seller's not there, because sometimes just two agents having that conversation, you can almost kind of get a little bit closer in the purchase price than you would be able to if the buyer or the seller is standing right there. So
my cardinal line is talk on paper. That's it. Talk on paper. And then
when I'm in a listing agent situation, I do the same thing, and I won't ever answer that question, but I'll ask it because a lot of other agents will answer. So it's kind of like my sneaky way.
Of course.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously there's a couple other articles I know we didn't get quite through. You got through the ReMax one, correct? The ReMax Quicken Loans. So what did
I did. I got through 3/4 of it. Let's try to jump into that.
Let's try, because I haven't read it yet. So you tell me what you know about it.
I guess they made an agreement. Quicken Loans is not a direct lender. They're like a broker, right? And they made an agreement with ReMax to co-market, and to do so, they're going to pay them a certain amount of money every month. And I guess what was the claim that was made after that? that, you know what?
That's an interesting. So let me ask you, what are your thoughts on Quicken Loans?
Quicken Loans, they're a terrific company. I mean, they are global. So I don't use them personally. Most of my deals are cash, but I think the relationship was an interesting relationship. Do you know why they actually they had a claim against each other?
No, I didn't get to that article actually.
Maybe we should come back to this piece.
Come back to it. We'll both read it while we're talking and come back.
I think that's a better idea.
Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, so and we have a lot of buyers in our area that use Quicken Loans. And I personally don't like the whole idea of an internet loan to begin with.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to put anybody
I can tell you. Ready? So a marketing service arrangement between Quicken and ReMax, right? It ended in two breach of contract lawsuits. Okay, one filed by each company. I guess Quicken claimed that ReMax misled about the value of the arrangement, and ReMax claims that Quicken failed to honor the agreement. Oh, that was it. Okay, it was about the MSA that they agreed to. That it was different. Quicken Loans failed to honor provisions of the agreement, and ReMax LLC is prepared to enforce the agreement, and will contest and defend itself against baseless countersuit from Quicken Loans. Got it. Okay. So basically, they feel like the MSA that they changed their mind about wanting to pay them or to honor the provisions of the agreement, and ReMax said they need to. That they'll enforce and defend it against, and I guess they're suing them for the agreement. So it's interesting that it's the first time that it seems like a first time that a huge conglomerate like Quicken Loans and a franchise like ReMax came together to co-advertise, and ReMax was going to Quicken Loans was going to pay ReMax a monthly fee, and I guess, and then they had in good faith, they said that they would renegotiate the terms of the agreement should any RESPA laws change, etc. But it's just a failure of a contract to be enforced. And I guess they want to end their business relationship, and they're suing each other for enforcement.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit of
Quicken Loans in my area. I've had a couple of buyers come to me and say they're pre-approved through Quicken, and I always kind of cringe inside because I think 3 or 4 transactions I've ever actually had go through Quicken have all died. So it was probably about a year ago, a buyer called me and I'm like, oh, have you talked to the bank yet? And they said, yep, we're going through Quicken. And I'm like, oh, inside. And obviously I am going to give them my 2 cents, but in a way that it's not necessarily steering them away from something that they really want to do. So I pick up the phone and I call the 1-800 number to talk to the loan officer, or whatever you want to call them. And I said, well, what is this buyer pre-approved up until? And they said, well, what price range do they want to look in? And I said, well, I'm not going to just give you a price range. You need to give me a number so I know what to show them. And he goes, well, that's not how we do it here. And I said, so you can't give me a top end as far as what these people are qualified for? And he said, no, but if you want to go out and show them some houses, and then once they find the house that they love, call me and I'll plug it in and I'll see if they qualify. And I'm just like, is this really happening right now? Is this conversation actually happening? To me, when I'm setting up a search for a buyer, when I'm, finding houses to show them, I need 2 things. I need to know what their purchase price and what their taxes are. If I show them a house that's $20,000 or $30,000 more than what they can afford or what they're going to get a mortgage for, it just kind of seems like a catastrophe waiting to happen. So, I'm not surprised that obviously, everyone's kind of trying to move towards doing everything online, but you also lose that personal connection of sitting down face to face with your loan officer and doing your mortgage application. So just kind of my thoughts on Quicken Loans, but not like it matters. I'm not going to single-handedly get Quicken Loans to stop doing business the way they do.
I think, but I tend to agree with you. I mean, of course you need to be you need to figure out, you need to get pre-approved before you go buy a property. That's what it comes down to. Maybe that was just the one agent you talked to. I'm sure they have some great agents there. But anyways, I guess it's highlighting what he said here it's about RESPA's anti-referral provisions. The company went on to say that no compensation or value to be paid directly or indirectly to any ReMax real estate agent. And I guess Quicken side of the story said that's when there was a problem because of their potential marketing alliance between them. It's definitely like a risky endeavor that they took on to join forces.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is definitely interesting.
So Ben, tell me a little bit about yourself. I don't really know. I mean, I've never met you, and I don't really know that much about you. But Brad told me that you started a tech company.
Yes, I started a tech company. It's called Roof Shoot, and my business, started from prospecting. And it's interesting because today I'm prospecting. I'm taking this $250 million house that I'm selling, and I have these books called Billionaire, and I'm literally flying to Seattle, Washington, and driving up to the Starbucks founder's house, and I'm going to Larry Page's house in Silicon Valley and Woodside, and I'm going to Sergey Brenner's house, and I'm going to Mark Zuckerberg's house and dropping these books off that are like these $1,000 books, right? And that's how I started, in 2005, as I went and knocked on doors and showed that I was the neighborhood expert, and showed that I had something of value, and I said I had a buyer for a property, and I did have a buyer because there's lots of agents out there that have buyers for their properties. And then I would bring open house flyers and say, look, there's an open house down the street. Let's get you into this property. And I knocked on hundreds of doors a day, and I did the really hard work of burning the soles of my shoes. And I ended up selling $17 million worth of real estate when I was 24 years old, and that was my first year. And every year I kept on, hustling, knocking on doors, doing open houses, doing the things that wouldn't cost me money because I didn't have a lot of money. And I was new in the city that I was working in because I'm from Toronto and I had no sphere of influence. I had no warm contacts to call, so I had to go and meet those people myself. So that only got me to a certain level, right? And this was years ago, like 7 years ago. So I thought to myself, what else could I do to go meet all these sellers? Because I'm flying from Toronto to LA, and I see all these houses below me, and I see dollar signs. How do I meet them all? I can't knock on all their doors, right? So I said, what if I shoot some videos? And I shot some videos, and lo and behold, instead of meeting 50 doors and being exhausted, I'd shoot one video and it would reach 1,000 people. And if I promoted that video on YouTube, it got thousands of people, right? So I was like, wow. So what if I need to shoot content, right? Shooting content, I can meet so many more people. And it's true, because in 2017, 3/4 of all internet traffic will be because of video. And only 4% of agents are actually even shooting video. Why? Because it's expensive and they don't know where to start, which is absurd to me because buyers want it, sellers expect it, and Google loves it, right? So we need to all shoot content like we are media companies. If you don't have a lot of money to be sending out postcards and putting in big ads in your local newspapers, which costs $300 to $500 to $1,000 a page, you need to be either doing two things. It's really simple: prospecting and then video marketing yourself. So what I did is I went out and I was producing these videos for a couple $1,000, and then coordinating with a photographer and a director, and it just took so much time. I was flaking on them because the seller wanted to meet me. So I was like, this is not working. Spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on videos. I need to just do this on the fly. So our iPhones are incredible tools because there's billboards that say this was taken on an iPhone, and they're only getting better and better, and the video is incredible. So I started shooting on my iPhone and then going home and putting it into Final Cut or iMovie and editing it together and making these great movies. And they were getting tons of views. I try to make them like a minute to 2 minute long, and the videos need to be edited with spliced together with some music and some great titles, because we only really take in 7 seconds, and then we kind of like fall off, right? But like a lot of these like video walkthroughs where it's just one shot, or it's just like a live shooting video of like one person talking, you lose their interest really quickly. If you want to do a longer video, it's got to be edited and have music in it and titles and everything like that. So this all comes full circle. I'm shooting with my iPhone. I'm going home and editing. It's still taking me a ton of time. So I invested in creating an app for myself where literally it told you exactly what to do, which is to shoot, it says, shoot the exterior of a property. Give a brief description of the enhancements of the backyard. Give a wrap up here, and shoot the kitchen, shoot the bathroom, shoot the exterior. And you can even, there's a external button where you can upload a drone shot into your video and press enter, and boom, you have this gorgeous listing video. And then we discovered that buyers really want to know about the neighborhood they want to move into before they buy a house, right? So there's other templates that we've created that are super simple to go through, which is, one is a cool spot, and one is a neighborhood video and an agent profile video. And Gary Vee, you know, he always says we're all a media company, right? And it was really interesting at the Inman Connect. I love when he was amazing, by the way. But he said, you need to be the mayor of your neighborhood. And I was like, yes, I love this, because that's exactly what RoofShoot does. We literally created 4 templates that if you use them, so easy to shoot. You could shoot them on the go, on your camera, go home and edit it on the phone easily. But the four templates that Gary was talking about were neighborhood videos. Be an expert in your neighborhood. Go shoot like why the values are the values in certain neighborhoods. Then cool spots, which is what he said too, which is go shoot cool spots, which is like be the purveyor of every restaurant. Go to schools and interview the principals, right? Or go to like your local grocery store and say why this is amazing. And then obviously agent profile videos. We all have business cards. They get thrown in the garbage, but you need to like do a really creative agent profile video and say, hi, you know, give your, in the scaffold of the app, it says, give a brief description of your experience. And then it says, even says, get a testimonial if you want to. And that's so great. We're always scrambling to get Zillow testimonials and sending it to our clients to write, but we never get them back, right? So how great is this? You can, you know, whip out your iPhone and be like, hey, tell me how great I was selling your property. And boom, that goes into your agent profile video. It's all about self-promotion, which I strongly believe in. If you sell a property, you need to like promote the heck out of it so other sellers see that you've done that. You're only as good as your last sale. How are you gonna promote yourself? Face-to-face meeting people. And the other way is video. If you're not shooting video, you're really not relevant. So I created this app, RoofShoot, for myself to make it super easy for me to shoot videos that are really compelling and interesting on the fly. And then also we have an accompanying website where the more content you put up on your zip code that you work in, the more you're going to be advertised. So it's not like a pay for play like a Zillow or Trulia where we're paying Trulia and Zillow, you know, for our leads. You know, we're basically on, you know, they should be paying us for our listings. You know, I think that it should be turned around. Like the MLS should be paying us to put up pictures, and then Zillow's got to deal with them through List Hub to take our pictures and sell back the impressions that they get on their website. It's brilliant of them. I got to tell you, you can get great leads with Zillow and Trulia, but it's a bit cockamamie in my head. But long story short is on the RoofShoot platform, you can upload as much content as you want. We encourage you to shoot more content because the more content you shoot, the more we show you on like Google display and placements. And you can do it yourself. You shoot a video, you can download the video, you can put it on InStream, and you can make little mini commercials that go before CNN or go before the debates. And it's just a great way to get yourself out there and to promote yourself. So I'm encourage everybody to check it out.
It sounds like a good app because I hear a lot of the agents that are always saying like, well, I'm not, I don't know how to use video. I don't know how to do editing. I don't know how to put titles in, but it sounds like with your app, it makes it pretty easy. It's almost like shooting videos for dummies. And then, I always hear agents to say, well, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way my voice sounds. I don't want to get on camera. I can't afford to buy this fancy camcorder right now. It's like you said, just take your iPhone out. And I don't do a lot of video on Facebook, actually. This is pretty much the only video that you'll see me on. But I'm big into Snapchat, and I always plug in Snapchat anywhere I can, because if you're not comfortable on video, you can just video yourself for 10 seconds. And it's gone forever. Nobody ever sees it. You don't have to worry about if your hair's perfect. You know, like I'm sitting here right now, like, oh, my hair is huge today. But so what? Who cares? It doesn't make me any less of a, better agent or a better broker. It makes me look like a real human being. And if people can connect with you on that personal level, like, oh, her hair is just as fluffy as mine is, like, it's going to make you look more genuine.
I agree. But, the interesting thing about Snapchat and Facebook, connect the quick videos that disappear, is that if you don't have the following, then it doesn't really help you, right? So if you're a newer agent, Snapchat and that stuff, it falls by the wayside. The good thing about video is that it's evergreen and that it lasts forever. It doesn't go away unless you can, of course, you can delete it if you don't like it. But I want to talk about being on camera. First of all, our app, if you want to not be on camera and do do just voiceover or just do music, whatever you want to do. And for the MLS, you actually can't be on camera, and you can only have music. You can't even talk. But if you want to put that video on the MLS. But I got to tell you, we spent thousands and thousands of dollars on market research, and we found out that if a buyer goes in the video, and if an agent is in the video talking, and they like mess up or do something that's like, they slip up on a word and they're endearing, they got more clicks. They actually liked it better because they were more authentic. And then if they did a selfie video, they got even more clicks. So there's a reason why like Fortune 500 companies like IKEA and Nike are doing, these what are called, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on found footage campaigns, because today's generation likes the authenticity of things that look real and look genuine, and that's what the millennials are gravitating towards. And it's like this, right? The reason why I was successful, because I did things I didn't want to do, which was door knocking every day or doing open houses, opening my mouth and engaging with people and socializing and really getting in front of people and seeing if they want to do business with me. It's the same thing. It's the hard work you got to do. I was really bad on camera, really nervous and shy, and it's like a muscle. You work on it, you get out there, practice makes perfect. You can become a celebrity. These actors that are on they practice for decades to become who they are. The reality TV people, they've only gotten better in their 6th season, and now the show's a bigger success. So you can just work on that muscle, get in front of the camera, own your city, be the mayor who you are, show that you are the expert in that area, that you know all the cool spots, you know all the values, and it's like better than thousands of postcards. You got to be out there shooting video. Only 4% of agents are doing it. 3/4 of all internet traffic is going to be from video in 2017. You got to make it entertaining, interesting. Yes, we made it really simple with the app for Roof Shoot, but I agree with you. You got to just be out there and doing it, right? And not caring so much about how you look. Just go shoot content and be relevant. Or if you're not doing that, you need to be in like clubs and meeting people. You need to go door knock. You need to go sit open houses are amazing, right?
And to me, it's like as realtors, we meet strangers every day. It's part of our job. So getting on camera and you're just looking back at yourself, what are you scared of? Just pretend like no one's watching, because chances are when you do your first video, no one is watching. So all right, Ben, well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I cannot wait to meet you in January. Good luck at Luxury Connect. I will definitely be looking for that panel to watch it, and hope you enjoy your weekend.
Thank you so much for having me. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.
All right. Bye. Thanks.